ICOH Dublin video number 5. Three elements have raised my attention today. The first one was a semi-plenary session performed by Professor Margaret Queen, and the title was Healthy Aging, Healthy Work, a Global Perspective on the Home Care Workforce. Today the medicalization of home care is increasing, and there is a development of what is called the hospital at home. A lot of treatments are provided at home, but in this field, still, there is not enough workers and a huge growth and huge needs regarding the aging of the population. A lot of these workers in the field of home care are women, precarious women with no incomes, immigrants, a lot of them are immigrants, and with unpredictable working hours. Most of them are liking their job, they enjoy taking care of the others, but they are facing some specific hazards at the workplace. Especially, and that was quite interesting to me, the question of needle sticks injuries. According to a study performed by the team of Margaret Queen, 2% of the working force in that field, 2% of the home care workforce, have faced a needle stick injury in the past 12 months. So this is a huge number. If you take into consideration the fact that it is a really large population. Because all of these workers are they are not authorized to use syringes and to administrate insulin, for example, but sometimes they are pressured by the patient to do so, and of course they have to pick up all of the needles that may be lying on the floor or at unusual places, and sometimes they can have some injuries like this. She also has been talking about the question of cleaning and the use of some cleaning products made with chlorine, with ammonium, the quaternary ammoniums, and she explained that all of these leads to an increase of occupational asthmas on home care workers. That was quite interesting that they have been able to rebuild a bathroom in a lab in order to have some workers to clean these fake bathroom, and in order to measure the levels of air of total volatile organic components. So they were able to illustrate the fact that the larger amounts of volatile organic components were obtained with the use of quartz. So it was quite interesting, I wasn't so aware about especially the needle stick injuries among that population, because in France I think most of these accidents at home occur with nurses, but regarding this I'm wondering if I'm right. A second communication of interest was performed during a session dedicated to solvents, and this was talking about chronic solvent encephalopathy. So this disease comprises a number of neurologic symptoms. There is no cure, no specific cure, and one thing that is really specific to that disease is that it doesn't progress anymore when the exposure ceases. And there has been a colleague named Heidi Furu has presented a study performed in Finland. In Finland, they have a mandatory health system check system, so a system in which they have mandatory health checks. And this system is able to report 5 to 10 cases every year. But there is an underestimation of CSE, chronic solvent encephalopathy. So they've performed a study in which they have screened a population with postal queries, obtained responses, and then assessed the chronic solvent encephalopathy. And just doing this, they were able, with one study, to gather 18 new cases. So it was illustrating the fact that it is underreported. And sometimes among these cases, the delay between the first complaints of the patients and the symptoms was really, really long until the final diagnosis. And sometimes, and most of the times, I will say, all of these workers have been benefiting from checkups with physicians. So these physicians were not able to diagnose this entity. So even a good surveillance system or in a rich country is not so able to diagnose this disease. So it was quite disturbing because it raises the question of the efficiency of the system. An hypothesis that was raised is that maybe the training of this physician is not good because the author, Heidi Furu, told us that sometimes it's public health practitioners or general practitioners that are not really trained in the field of occupational health. I hope this is really the good explanation, because it's quite disturbing to have this kind of result illustrating the lack of accuracy of the system. And the last thing that was interesting to me was a poster presented by an Indian woman, Priyanka Roy, from the Department of Labour of West Bengal in India, and she has been focusing on the psychosocial consequences of demonetization in India among tea garden workers. So, demonetization has occurred a few months ago. As you probably know, there have been black money in India, and the government has decided to pick up all the 500 and 1,000 Indian rupee banknotes out of the circulation, and the problem is that 86% of the banknotes, the used banknotes, were one of these, the 500 and 1,000 Indian rupee banknotes. So this has led to really bad consequences for these workers, because a lot of these are poor workers and their wages are linked to the weight of tea leaves they are able to pick up every day. And all of these do not have any bank account, so a lot of these were likely to create this, but banks were not really close to tea gardens, so they have to take a day off to go, but a day off is meaning a lack of money because they are not getting paid. So and on the other end, you have absenteeism in the tea garden. So this has led to bad symptoms. Well, it was a focus group method, and all of the symptoms were self-reported. So there is probably a lack of accuracy of the symptoms, but the fact is that these researchers have had an interest on the question of the links between money and the way people get paid and ill health issues. And I feel we have to have a look on that as physicians and more generally occupational health practitioners. This question, traditionally dedicated to human resources professional, should also raise an interest among occupational health practitioners. The way people get paid is having some consequences on the health, especially when you get paid and when your wages are related to your productivity. So I think it's a bad system. This communication was really interesting. So I also attended some other conferences, a parallel session related to occupational health surveillance, occupational disease surveillance system. So with the ModernNet network, and some systems have been presented, especially in Italy and in the US. I attended the business meeting of the WOPS Scientific Committee. So the WOPS stands for Work Organizational and Psychosocial Factors. This is the scientific committee I'm belonging to, and this was interesting, but it was really technical, not really interesting to discuss here in the video. More interesting thing is that I'm a bit late, so I'm, my first tongue is not English, so I feel that I have some troubles to be really, really fluent and during this video, but yeah, you will excuse that. And also because I'm coming back from a bar called The Church, and it's a place that is interesting because the bar is actually really in a church, and the church seems to be the one where Arthur Guinness get wed. So there is a statue of the head of Arthur Guinness. I did not even know the name, so I've discovered that the Guinness was the Arthur Guinness beer. So as you know, I don't drink beer and I prefer having a cider. It was much better. And was really good, and we've been there with colleagues. And this was a good place, and I recommend you to visit this. So that's it for today. So let's meet again on tomorrow for another video, and it will be day 6 of the Congress. So have a good day.